like, wow, I just tried to stabilize my Spark and I got all this insider trading information about buying Nvidia stock or whatever, right? Lore Boys here with more of your favorite fake histories. I'm your host, Ethan Palmer. Today we're going to be returning to Magic the Gathering lore with the conclusion of the Neon Dynasty arc and how that leads into the next big baddie of the Magic universe, whom I may be talking about in weeks to come. I may take a pause for Magic the Gathering. I won't lie to you guys. I pulled up Elder Scrolls lore today. To almost did it, and I was like, let's just finish fucking Kamigawa before we jump into this.
Yeah, put a book in. Let's do it.
Yeah. There's plenty of other lore out there outside of Magic the Gathering. So no matter who you are, if you like Magic the Gathering or you don't like Magic the Gathering lore, crunch at us, I guess, and let us know, and I'll probably ignore you and just continue to do whatever fandoms I happen to like. Yeah. To be in my defense, there's always somebody asking for Magic, D&D, or Warhammer 40k. So I just like always have an out where I'm like, I just listen to that guy instead, right?
Palmer DLC came out in the last month too, so you've been pretty busy.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah. I love the fact you like gazed longingly at the like unofficial Elder Scrolls pages and you were just like, next time, baby. Like, wink at the wiki.
I'm James. I don't think we did that.
This is James and that's Peter.
Hello.
You guys know him. You're not listening to part 4 of the Neon Dynasty arc, not knowing Peter and Jamie. Maybe you are. Maybe you just stumbled across the show. If that's the case and you like it, leave us a review, tell your friends, spread the good word of Lore Boys. We really do appreciate it if you guys can. And if you guys want to support the show financially, you can join the lofty ranks of some of our patrons, such as new patron,
Mr. Avocado Man.
I've seen them.
He's full of healthy fat.
Yeah, he's been in the Discord a bunch, or they've been in the Discord a bunch. Been talking with them.
I think you can assume that Mr. Avocado Man uses he/him pronouns.
Yeah, probably. That's a good point. I'm trying to just train myself to say they first.
That's fair. It's a good reaction to have. I'm just saying, of all cases, this is an easy one to edge on. Err on the side of he/him.
True. What about a person? I'm looking now in one of our newest members, Popcorn, with a Giga Chad profile pic. Which is
also safe to assume. Yeah.
When you see the Giga Chad, do you go mail right away? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Is like a pop's corn? Is that a trans euphemism? Like egg? I don't know. I'm not.
The seeds are kind of the egg of the corn. So maybe
the egg of the corn. Heck. Okay, it's been a long time, guys. We counted them. It's been like 5 weeks since my last episode, which means it's been like 8 weeks or 7 weeks since the last Magic episode, probably, because I took a break in the middle to do Cyberpunk and then had a baby. So
I like how the baby is the second thing you mentioned in that.
Yeah. That Cyberpunk episode was pretty good.
It was. Yeah, that's true.
Just because it's always fun to watch you guys like struggle with these. Why don't we try and refresh us on the Neon Dynasty specifically? If you guys want to go all the way back to Kamigawa lore, then we did do 2 episodes on Kamigawa specifically.
Oh my.
But we're looking for the Neon
name of the protagonist.
Kaito.
Kaito. Jamie nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That name for some reason it just it ricochets off my skull. It never makes it to my brain. I've never been able to remember. But
I keep
go,
remembering,
Jamie.
I keep remembering like the first episode or 2, and then like I know we got way in. There's like a Phyrexian reveal at one point.
Yeah.
We got like we went into and we did the whole thing of the guy with the pink purple magic and how he was like from the slums and like
Tezzeret, right?
Tezzeret, yeah.
Tezzeret.
So we did episodes 1 and 2 of Neon Dynasty. Then we did a Tezzeret episode. Then we did episode 3 of Neon Dynasty.
Okay.
Then we did Cyberpunk, and now we're doing episode 4 of Neon Dynasty.
So Kaito's parents, they died of radiation. One dad dies in prison actually, but mom dies of radiation. So him and his sister are orphans. They get picked up by the city, like the state or whatever, and Kaito likes to walk on the roofs, and his sister likes to be mad at Kaito or something. And then there's like a catastrophe in the middle of the night. Kaito's like training with like the king's son, or his sister's training with like the king's son for combat.
It's the emperor herself.
Okay.
Who's a child at the time, because the emperor is chosen by Kyodai, the greatest of all kami, who's like a spirit.
Right.
But yeah, the disaster in the middle of the night is that the emperor disappears.
Right, and then everything's going crazy. And then
he sees Tezzeret, so he's searching for Tezzeret.
He sees Tezzeret, and that was the cliffhanger of the first episode. You see the purple energy pulsing through this guy's arm, and everything's way more advanced than the other things you saw. And then the next one, we go, and Kaito eventually finds some lab, and there's like, what was that? Not the Mirage.
The reality chip?
The reality chip, yeah.
Reality chip.
So they're going after the reality chip. He like tracks it down to some basement, and then he's like, "Oh my god!"
He tracks it down to his friend Tameshi's lab, and it turns out his friend Tameshi was like working with these people, or working with Tezzeret, or working with a Phyrexian to study kami, and it had been like hooked up to a kami and like draining.
Yeah. And they're draining kamis, so basically big evil metal monsters draining the cool spirits.
Exactly.
Then we go to Tezzeret, and we like find out how his origin story. He's a kid, doesn't have nothing, and he learns the only way to take something is through power, takes on jobs, becomes more and more powerful, eventually gets crazy robo arm and access to like more power and stuff. Then he has his popcorn seed pop, or his egg pop, or whatever we're saying.
He has his egg corn.
His egg corn pop, and then he becomes a planeswalker, and he starts going from planes to plane looking for a way to fuck with Dragonhead guy. No?
He's working for Nicol Bolas for a while.
Nicol Bolas, okay.
He's just a general bad dude. Like he had a rough upbringing, I guess, and
then we talked about a female character next, right?
Yeah. So you kind of
it wasn't sister, even right.
Yeah, it wasn't even next. Like the part finding the reality chip happened after the Tezzeret episode.
Oh, okay.
So the end of the second episode was Tameshi died and was slain by the Phyrexian.
Right.
In episode 3, he went and found the relic chip in his old friend's lab and realized that his old friend had been working with these people and doing these terrible experiments. Right. And then he gets attacked by Jin-Gitaxias, the Phyrexian Praetor, Blue Praetor, at the end of it, and is fleeing the compound with. He has his friend Tamio, the Moonfolk, who's helping him out.
The Zenyatta dude,
Yeah, and as he's fleeing the compound, somebody like shows up and like slices the head off the dragon, and it's the Emperor of Kamigawa, who it turns out was a planeswalker as well. Couldn't control her spark and came to be known as the Wanderer.
The Wanderer.
Yes. Yeah.
So nailed it. 100 points to Jamie for that.
Not too bad. I've done worse on.
It's out of 10,000. So,
done worse on simpler topics too.
Worse thing. Something one of my ex-partners used to say that I've stolen it. Worse things have happened to better people, and I like to say that. when something bad usually happens to yourself, because it's okay to say to yourself. You don't say it to other people, then it's rude. Yeah. I stubbed my toe. Worst thing that happened to better people. You fucking ass.
So Kaito Shizuki, our main character, or protag. Been trying to uncover what happened to his childhood friend / Emperor of Kamigawa for a decade, when she mysteriously appears, like I said, kills a mecha dragon right in front of his face. So it turns out all those years ago in Eiganjo Castle, no one had absconded with the Emperor. Instead, her own Planeswalker spark had activated, and she'd been whisked away, unable to return due to an early prototype of the reality chip damaging her spark permanently. So Tezzeret had an early prototype, which he tried to use on her to some end, we're not sure of yet. And that had damaged her Planeswalker spark and left her without the ability to control where she planeswalks to. She just randomly planeswalks at times and ends up in a new world.
It's got the Iron Giant dent in it, basically.
Yeah, I've never seen the movie, but I'm gonna say yes.
That could be
It's great.
deadly. That's like in Back to the Future. Whenever is there a part in Back to the Future where they can't control what time they're going to? I feel like there is.
I don't believe so.
No.
Yeah, I think, or
Maybe
well,
the
it was
second
Doc Brown fleeing. Isn't that how he ended up in the Old West? Didn't he like not mean to go there?
Oh,
Didn't
yeah.
he? I've only seen the third one once. I think he did mean to go there, and then whatever, like Biff Tannen's relative was causing trouble or some shit.
This is really not what references are supposed to make it easy and quick to understand. But, damn it.
Okay, so we got two long lost friends reunited once more, together with the Moonfolk Tamio. They managed to escape the compound controlled by the Phyrexian Jin-Gitaxias, who had been working with Kaito's now dead friend Tameshi, like we said before. Tameshi had been helping Jin-Gitaxias experiment on the kami of the plane, either because he was truly rationalizing the most heinous of crimes by saying it was in the name of science, or because he was naive enough to think he could really outsmart the smartest of the Phyrexian praetors.
Okay. Yeah.
But we'll never know.
I'm just going to work with him until I can... I just need to gather enough dirt so I can report him to the authorities. So I'm just going to follow orders for a little while.
I never thought of Phyrexians as being really smart, but we've talked about this in the past where they all have different color heads, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and Jin-Gitaxias is the blue one, who's like, he's the augur of experimentation, and like he loves to like meddle with things.
Yeah, intellect's like his thing. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So what's the angle of these experiments, right? What do Phyrexians want with kami? So we know what Jin-Gitaxias wanted with the kami from the card Planar Incision. We know he's conducting the experiments to try and crack the nut that is planeswalking. So the flavor text from the card reads, Jin-Gitaxias had long coveted the secrets of planeswalking, spirits that could pass between worlds made for perfect test subjects. So
that's
Phyrexians,
cool.
though they'd long been trying, had never managed to planeswalk themselves. Like, there's not a single Phyrexian that can planeswalk. There's never been...
the Frankensteinian robot monsters are immune to trauma, so they can't, they can't get their spark activated.
Yeah. It's like Harry runs through platform 9 3/4, then goes Ron, then a Phyrexian just flat into the wall.
With his luggage out in front of it too.
Yeah. The Roadrunner running into the painted-on portal to another plane, and then the Wile E. Coyote Phyrexian horror slamming into the cliffside behind them.
They just can't figure it out.
Yeah. It's either because they didn't have enough trauma to unlock that ability, or them just being soulless metal monsters bent on complicating everything in the universe. They're helping them achieve machine perfection by replacing all their weak little meat parts with metal, right?
Yeah, which in the one episode where Wile E. Coyote actually catches the Roadrunner, he does so in a coyote-shaped mecha. So it is actually...
It's on brand.
Yeah, exactly. It's a direct reference, actually.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I remember, like, my dad hyped it up because my dad's a big fan of Looney Tunes, and, like, I didn't have cable, but Teletoon at Night, which was, like, an airwave station here in Quebec, he was just like, oh no, like...
Peter, get in the room! Like, they caught him!
No, that was basically it, yeah. It was just like, we changed the channel from 9/11 to just like, they finally got him!
That was when the guy leaned into George W. Bush to say,
ladies and gentlemen,
a second plane hit plane hit the tower. It was actually, sir, they finally caught him.
A second tunnel has been painted on a canyon wall.
Yeah.
But it's like such bad taste. But you've got like the World Trade Center painted on the side of a canyon wall. Like, Wile E. Coyote crashes a plane into it.
No, because that's not in bad taste, because we get the terrors back in that one.
Yeah, of course.
It tricks them.
Yeah, no, like it was like to stay up late and watch Looney Tunes with my dad. He was like, "Oh, I'm really excited. This is a rerun of when like Wiley finally catches him, and he does build like a giant coyote mecha to do it."
And that's when Pete got into Warframe and what's that? BattleTech.
BattleTech, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Wile E. Coyote can use the mecha to catch the Roadrunner. But what Wile E. Coyote could never do was use the mecha to travel through his own painted-on pictures of a tunnel with a road, right?
Of course, yeah.
So much like our Wile E. Coyote, up until now, the Phyrexians have had to rely on others to shuttle them around the multiverse and to break into other planes and things like that. They've had to use other people to get places, right?
Okay.
Even Jin Ash Cast, Grass, or Metal Compilation.
Yeah, beautiful.
Even Jin-Gitaxias here on Kamigawa had been brought by Tezzeret via an artifact known as the Planar Bridge. So I posted a picture of what the Planar Bridge from the Aether Revolt set, the artwork looks like. The Planar Bridge is a device which Tezzeret had stolen from the plane of Kaladesh at the behest of Nicol Bolas at the time, and had incorporated that huge machine that you guys are seeing, and we'll describe in a second for the listeners, into his body somehow. It allowed him to create artificial portals to other dimensions. The one catch is that it can only transport non-organic or dead material.
Oh, Phyrexians would like that, though. Yeah.
Phyrexian Praetors, while largely machine, do still have some organic parts, meaning they're usually badly wounded after traveling between planes via bridge and need to mend for a time before they're back at full strength.
On their back, they've got all the switches, and instead of like fuses, it's like little meat fuses.
Yeah.
I blew
my meat fuse. So you guys want to describe what the planar portal looks like before it's absorbed by Tezzeret?
Mm-hmm. So it kind of looks like a gateway, almost like a gateway to heaven or something, is like the shape of it, but it's got like these weird fins on the side and like mechanical blue like tubes going around, all leading to what's in the center is a portal that has like little strings all the way around the doorway lead to this portal, and they kind of wrap around into a circle in the middle, and there's like a person looking up at it with their arms back in awe, kind of thing.
That's Tezzeret in the middle there. He's got the one hand.
Oh, he does, yeah.
So the blue stuff is Aether, which is like propane gas or like natural gas that Kaladesh has access to. So they're very like, they have a lot of technology and like technological marvels driven by this access to this stuff Aether, which is just like magic energy essentially. So
it's funny. The gate is the opposite of time travel in the Terminator. So the reason that in Terminator people show up nude and the Terminators are wrapped in human flesh is because time travel in Terminator can't transport
the
metal,
inorganic material. It can only transport organic material. So that's why they show up nude. Whereas in this one,
and that's why Wile E. Coyote is always naked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like what's his name? So it can only take the clothes, right? Not the body. So that's tough. Nicol Bolas, what does he use this for? Like just to like send whenever he needs to move apartments between like where he's living?
It's a powerful artifact regardless. Yeah, you could in theory, like if you had access to say a plague of Phyrexians that you wanted to like subject a plane to, you could just use this to like send them there, right? So like Nicol Bolas's plans probably weren't that different from Tezzeret's. If you didn't get so caught up.
Cat's being cute in the bassinet in the back, by the way, just like cleaning himself back there.
Very good.
I thought they were gonna fight for a second because old cat was going up to a young cat.
Yeah.
So we have Tezzeret, who has access to this device, which can send Phyrexians around the multiverse. Since they have organic parts, they are weakened by the travel. Jin-Gitaxias was likely somewhere in this like mending state when he was on Kamigawa and confronted by Kaito and all that. Probably explains why he sent henchmen after Kaito rather than just going after him himself, or why he was using Tameshi's help to capture and subdue Kami. Probably just because he was rebuilding his strength.
Not the greatest invasion force to send. It's just like, behold my crippled robot army. I will conquer this land in 6 to 8 weeks. After they go through physio, like we're gonna kick your asses.
Yeah. I'm blanking on the guy's name again, but the guy with the purple energy and the arm is
Tezzeret.
Yeah.
It's funny. I can remember Tezzeret like nobody's business, but I still can't remember Kaito Shizuki.
Yeah.
It just escapes me no matter what.
But Tezzeret, he's got that arm that's pretty much all metal. So if he forgot like his keys in another plane or something, he could just kind of stick it through the portal and grab it, or he could like tickle you across planes.
The interdimensional tickler.
Like a spooky story to get kids to go to bed early or like eat their vegetables. It's like, oh, the plains tickler's gonna get you.
So Kaito had been fleeing those henchmen when he and Tamiyo were saved by the Wanderer, the cryptic pseudonym adopted by the once upon a time child emperor. They get shrouded by Tamiyo's invisibility spell, and the trio returns to Iganjo Castle, sneaking in past even the Imperial Guards. They don't want to announce the Emperor's return just yet. There's one person that they want to see more than anybody else, or I should say one kami they want to see more than anybody else. Kyodai, the great kami of the divide between worlds, cried out as the Wanderer returned to the castle. It wasn't cries of joy, however, but cries of pain.
Oh no.
Kaito and Tamiyo had let the Wanderer journey ahead of them, be like, yeah, you haven't seen, like your other metaphorical half in like 10 years, so we'll give you guys a bit of privacy. And they hear kind of this like cry of pain or distress. So they rush in to see Kyodai writhing in pain with the Emperor's hand pressed to the kami's face. The Wanderer had returned to Kamigawa, but her spark, like we said before, was unstable, damaged, and it was kind of representative of her link with Kyodai, right?
Wow.
Her spark was kind of her bond to the spirit world, and kind of is everybody's. It's just more manifest here on Kamigawa. So that's taking a toll on both the Planeswalker and the Kami. Luckily, Kaito had just stolen something that might just help. So the reality chip, which they'd taken from Tameshi's lab, was able to stabilize the Wanderer's spark, at least for a time, helping her to remain on Kamigawa.
Okay.
Tamiyo came up with this. I posted a pic from the card Tether to Reality that shows it fusing to her hand. A very painful procedure, but a necessary one.
This is the reference image I used when I was drawing this thing draining the life out of Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. I recognize this photo with all the tendrils like going into the veins and shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically she's holding out her hand. She's clearly like shocked or in pain, and the reality chip, this like jellyfish like pagoda, I guess, is just fusing with her hand. The reality chip is able to accomplish more than just stabilizing her, however. It also racks her with visions of what she calls the monster. Unsure of how she knows, she does know that Jin-Gitaxias had alerted enemies of the Imperials of the Emperor's return. She can kind of like see Tameshi's lab still, where the reality chip had been hooked up to Lumiere. She's still kind of like, she can see that room and still like there's some lingering presence there. So she kind of sees them talking, and Jin-Gitaxias is like, we've recruited the Asari Usurpers, who's this like rival samurai faction who wants to overthrow the Imperials and take control of Kamigawa.
Okay.
So she's like, wow, I just tried to stabilize my spark, and I got all this insider trading information about buying NVIDIA stock or whatever, right?
She's got the stock ticker at the bottom of her eyes now. All the
time. Just Chiron going by constantly.
Yeah. So I posted a picture of the Asari Usurpers for you guys. I don't know if we need to describe it. They're more like they adopt technology more readily than the Imperials, who you guys will remember want to strictly control all technology and who can have access to what technologies, which is why Kaito's parents were left to die, despite there being things that could have treated them.
They look like 40k orcs, but if they were Japanese people, like it's
that's kind of fair.
Yeah. It's like a regular looking Japanese woman, but she's got like the big bulky like red metallic claws and shit.
Yeah, she's got the mega gauntlet on one hand and then the other.
But you'll notice the mega gauntlet. So she has like a two-handed battle axe that she's holding in her right hand, and then she has a second, much larger mechanical hand, just like tied with rope to her forearm.
It's very cool. Yeah,
which is also holding the two-handed axe just higher up the half.
Oh my god! I didn't even notice her actual hand. I'd only seen the. Oh wow! Yeah.
For everyone keeping score, Jamie still has not purchased his glasses.
That's the accountability thing we were talking about on the planets.
We know it doesn't work for him, and we're just putting more pressure on him. We're just going to make him more anxious about it and make it never happen.
Yeah, here we are.
So yeah, so we know the Emperor gets this like vision, sees the monster talking, knows that these people are coming to attack the castle. They've been tipped off that the Emperor has returned, and they figure like, oh, if the Emperor comes back, and this like uprising has been kind of building for like years on Kamigawa since the Emperor vanished and no Emperor was chosen in her place. There's kind of been this like dissent, this like, oh, you know, they don't have a leader, we should be in charge kind of thing. And now that she's back and they hear that she's back, they're like, well, we got to strike now. And we have to strike at the Emperor, or like our chance at a revolution's kind of over. If
we'd already planned on taking advantage of the power vacuum, but we'll just kill you and create our own vacuum. Sort of thing.
Exactly. They were on their way. Kaito couldn't really figure out why. There's kind of this niggling doubt for him where a war between people doesn't seem like the best way to gather Kami test subjects for a Phyrexian, right? Like he's kind of like, why are they doing this? Like, you know, they deduce that the assault was likely a cover, most likely to get back what was stolen from the Phyrexian. So they're like, they kind of realize they're going to come after the reality chip, right? Like that's the only reason why they would make an attack on the castle, is so that they would have this cover to go after the reality chip.
Okay.
Tamio, figuring that if its existence, the reality chip's existence, is enough to send a raging Phyrexian praetor hunting it, like that's proof that it's dangerous and should be destroyed. And she's kind of she's not a futurist, but she's like more on the futurist side of things, where she harbors like futurist children, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like, even she is like, no, it's clearly too dangerous. Like whatever it can do, it should just be destroyed. Like it's not worth it.
Right.
But
after buying her Nvidia stock, she of course decides that it's too dangerous. She's going to destroy it, right?
Yeah, exactly. After selling her Nvidia stock, she decides, no. Now it's time now it's time to destroy it.
Yeah. There's that guy on Reddit who had just gotten a 4080 and he was upgrading from a 3080, and like most of the contents of everything was just gamers like, why would you even upgrade at that point? So people love to throw their money away, and just like people shitting on him for upgrading from like the second best to the best, basically. And the internet kind of sucks, huh?
I mean, I agree. I think I don't agree with buying, like upgrading your, like I'm still rocking a 970 and it works fucking fine, guys. Stop spending thousands of dollars on these things, because the companies just keep charging more and keep getting away with it. And it's like, capitalism doesn't work, but it especially doesn't work when you guys keep doing these things. So stop, you know?
Well, stop telling them to buy a new computer then. You were ragging on my computer last week. I got a 1650. We're okay here.
We are okay.
Yeah, like older cards now last way longer, because I had a 970 for a while and replaced it, but like I've had the one I've got now for 6 years, and you cannot tell.
But if we got a reality chip, we'd probably never need to replace it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, horrors from another dimension would be coming over here to game on my PC.
Yeah, exactly. So Tamio wants to destroy it, but you guys will remember it's the only thing tethering the Emperor to Kamigawa right now.
Right.
And everyone, the Imperials specifically, Lightpaws, the Emperor's mentor, as well as Kaito and his sister Aiko's mentor, Lightpaws, is very much like, Kamigawa needs its Emperor. Like, we've been without you for a long time. This uprising's been coming for a long time because you've been gone. Like, we can't afford to have you just leave. So
ultimately, it's unpredictable, right? Because she could just fall out of the plane at any moment. That's like her.
Yeah, it's pretty much guaranteed if she untethers that she will like vanish eventually. Like, it seems like she never really stays anywhere for more than like a week to a month. Like, she doesn't get any kind of extended stay on any plane. She's constantly traveling, hence the name The Wanderer.
Okay.
So they decide that they won't destroy the chip itself because the Emperor needs it, but they'll return to Tameshi's lab and destroy the research there that supports the chip, how to use it, how to do these awful things with Kami and all that, to hopefully stop the Praetor Phyrexian from being able to use it effectively.
Smash all the computers, because the file's got to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's you know how when you you buy something and then you immediately throw out the user manual. Then in 2 months, you're like, oh, fuck, how do I do this? And you got to like Google the user manual and then download the PDF and like look for the things you got to do.
That happened when we were driving back from Bobby's place, or going to Bobby's place in my car, because I have an English manual, but I lost it. And we had a mysterious light come on the dash. And I was just like, Jamie, help. Because I'm driving, and he's like going through the French manual. He's like, I can't find it, and then had to Google the PDF.
It was really easy once you Googled it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but now they're also destroying Google. So are all mentions of it on Google?
Okay.
They're sending it to the dark web essentially.
And my reliable co-pilot here needs Google.
Right.
Yeah.
And the dark
and
web.
feed me sandwiches.
Is it Kamigawa or Cyberpunk that they have like the big wall that keeps the old
Black Walls in Cyberpunk? Yeah.
Oh, Cyberpunk. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That keeps you out of the good car manuals, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So Kaito and his old friend the Wanderer split up once more. The Emperor remains at the castle with their guards to be the figurehead and to be the thing that people are fighting for, while Kaito and Tamiyo would return to destroy Tameshi's lab.
Now, to be fair, what they could do if they wanted some real politicking, because Jamie, you had mentioned House of the Dragon earlier. If they wanted some real politicking, they could just say that she's back, destroy the reality chip, and then let her just vanish. And like, oh wow, I can't. The Emperor and this guy have never been in the same room at the same time, sort of thing, right? And just pretend like she's still there.
Good.
Yeah, you could pull the old switcheroo on them, but do you want to play with fire like that?
I don't know. I mean,
yeah. So they don't pull the switcheroo, I guess.
They go to destroy the files. And
they
all
go
that
to destroy the files. Yeah. They're the Wayne Knight in Jurassic Park going That's who they want to be on the computer. Right?
I mean, I've played Shovel Knight, never played Wayne Knight.
Yeah,
it's good. It's just a fat guy in a raincoat, but it's just as fun.
It's the sequel to Shovel Knight, but the prequel to Wayne's World.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, your ranged weapon is a shaving cream can.
So Kaito and Tamiyo arrive at Tameshi's lab less than a day after they'd left it. Pretty much like as soon as they get to the castle, they're heading right back over. Kaito's drones were still interfering with the security systems, so they were able to kind of put in. Yeah. Evidence of the chase they'd outrun was everywhere. What was no longer there was the Kami. So all traces of the Kami were gone. It seems like there was kind of like a quick, like, pack up everything, we got to go, the feds are onto us kind of moment.
A bunch of Kami pieces in the bottom of a paper shredder. They're like, oh, this got bad.
There's a guy running out with an IV tube thing, like on one of those like wheels, but instead of the IV bag, it's just a ghost with a dripper into his arm.
We gotta destroy the files. It's all on the hard drive. So they got like a whole computer tower in a paper shredder, just like it's stuck.
So the experiments Jin-Gitaxias had been running had been scraped out and disposed of. The weakened and gray Kami, Lumiere, they had pulled the reality chip out of, left no trace but for the metal table it had laid upon.
They didn't even, it wasn't like a speakeasy trick where they just like rotated all the furniture and it's like, oh, this is just a humble Phyrexian pet shop.
Yeah, so they see this is a humble Phyrexian pet shop, but all the pets are gone because they were expecting to see pets, and they're like, oh no, we're sold out. Sorry, friend. So they
Phyrexians have European accents.
Yeah. Eastern Europe. Phyrexians are Eastern Europeans. Yeah. So they kind of like go like, oh well, we kind of wanted to save some puppies from the puppy mill, but I guess we'll just smash your counters instead, right? So. They're kind of despairing, like thinking about what happened to the Kami, how they were kind of disposed of. And they step towards the machine that the gray Kami had been connected to, when a voice speaks at their back. It says, or Tezzeret says, "It is not the Kami we were ever truly after." So I have a quote for you guys from Akemi Don Bowman's The Break-In. Tamiyo took a step forward. "If you're not after the Kami, then why did you kill so many of them? We needed to test the connection between Kami and the spirit realm, study the bond between the material and immaterial aspects of existence, the body and the soul. And Kami are much easier to come by than what Phyrexia really needs." Tezzeret flashed his teeth, eyes sparkling like wildfire. "I should thank you." Kaito scowled. For what? A horrible scrape of metal sounded, and Jin-Gitaxias appeared from the shadows, moving beside Tezzeret like a looming nightmare. Tezzeret didn't blink, even as Jin-Gitaxias flexed his metal claws and leaned forward. For allowing the research to flourish by bringing planeswalkers to our laboratory, Jin-Gitaxias snapped with an eerie delight. So, like we said before, he's studying the secrets of planeswalking.
Yeah.
And had been capturing Kami to that end. But you know who's better at planeswalking than Kami, who can travel between the material and immaterial worlds only of the plane of Kamigawa?
Planeswalkers.
Damn. Another 100 points to Jamie. Wow.
Let's go.
Nailing it. Yeah, so it's a trap, obviously. Well baited and springing shut on them now. Metal like clangs down from the ceiling, claps shut on Tamiyo. I don't know if you guys remember, Kaito's sword is like shurikens that he holds in place using his telekinesis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a katana made of like metal shards, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he can like throw them. So like he throws them at Tezzeret, but Tezzeret is also telekinetic. You guys will remember, and so just like stops them and throws them back at them. And he like holds one to Kaito's neck and tells them like, just stop fighting, or your friends will die or whatever. And they're like, they can't kill us. They just said he needs us or whatever. And they're like, well, we only need one of you, really. So we'll kill the other one to get you to comply.
Dang, he's right.
Yeah, he like
5D chess again. Phyrexians win.
he frees Tamiyo, and then it's like the next time he looks over, Tamiyo's wrapped in more metal wires. Like it's very much like a hopeless fight.
Right.
Okay.
He tries to fight. He tries to free them both. Inevitably, one of them is always captured and restrained. Another short quote. Kaito looked over his shoulder and saw Tamiyo wrapped in even more metal than before, with a fragment of silver stretched over her eyes. He couldn't read her scrolls, which you guys will remember is where her magic comes from. And Kaito,
this is the sexy cat lady or whatever, right?
the rabbit lady.
That's it. Yeah.
And Kaito would never be able to free her from so many restraints. If he fought his way out of the compound, he'd have to leave Tamiyo behind. So he's kind of like having this like moment where he's like, I think I can get out of here, but that means leaving Tamiyo behind, and he's struggling with that. But he does have one last ace up his sleeve. So they come here to destroy the research, and the what better way to completely and thoroughly shred a stack of hard drive, a stack of servers, a server rack, than with explosives? Am I right?
Yeah.
That is the ultimate paper shredder. You're right.
Explosives, the ultimate paper shredder.
I like to imagine, because she's being tied up with all these fibers. When you said like metal drops down, I was just like the cartoon like bar cage, just like haha, got her, like just like drops down on a chain.
Yeah.
Not an anvil, and then she comes out and all her teeth are missing or something.
Oh, like they fall out like piano keys.
Yeah.
He had a tiny umbrella, but it did nothing, honestly.
Yeah.
So he has the explosives on him. They're still in his pocket. He knows he could still destroy the work done here, the machine used to conduct the experiments. Perhaps he figures he might even be able to destroy Tezzeret and Jin-Gitaxias. He just knows that it's probably going to cost him and Tamiyo their lives.
Okay. Oh no.
So I have another quote for you guys. In one quick motion, Kaito pulled the device from his pocket and hurled it toward the room with the machine, listening to the whistle as it flew through the air. But the weapon never made impact. It stopped just short of the glass before slowly floating into Tezzeret's hand.
Oh yeah, he's also telekinetic.
He let out a dark chuckle. Your problem, Tezzeret said icily, is that you depend far too much on the technology I've already mastered. In his palm, the detonator broke apart piece by piece until it became nothing more than a pile of useless metal and microchips. Something cracked against the back of Kaito's head, and everything around him faded to black.
Oh my.
And now it's time for us to fade to the blackness of corporate advertising. More magic lore after the break. Welcome back from the break. How was the journey to another audio multiverse, listeners? Buy the product you heard about. Don't buy the product you heard about. It doesn't make a difference to us. We don't get paid for it. So just keep that in mind when making your
No
financial.
residuals.
No, welcome back. Where we left off, Kaito and Tamiyo had been captured by Tezzeret and the Phyrexian Jin-Gitaxias, and there's only one person who can save them now, right?
Yeah. The explosives.
Yeah, exactly. The explosives, which were dismantled by Tezzeret.
Yes. So I don't know if you guys. This is another movie reference that might not land. You guys ever see Sky High, the superhero movie?
Nope.
No.
Nah, never mind. Too bad. Because the villain in that one is a technomancer, and she can also like psychically disassemble technology, which I think is pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Also, people who are really into meth, like taking apart TVs.
No, that's a methnomancer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, he can take apart his teeth with his powers.
apparently taking apart electronics and coloring with coloring pencils.
Yeah.
Two big signs that you may have a meth head on your hands. But...
Coloring with coloring pencils?
Yeah, like I was watching these like
colored
cop...
pencils.
Yeah, these cop shows where they pull people over or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just keep saying, like, it's a thing that pops up. If this person has meth on them, they often have coloring books and a bunch of coloring pencils.
Oh yeah,
They just
that's amazing.
it's something they love doing, smoking meth and coloring in boxes, man. Just
Hell yeah,
I like drawing.
they're not hurting anyone.
Yeah.
honestly, if that's all they were doing and not driving on the road, I'd be
And
okay.
not driving, and then
Okay,
also
yeah.
like punching holes in people's walls to check for microphones.
If all they did was art and 24 hours a day, then that might be a good thing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Societal NECA they do art 24 hours a day for 3 weeks, and then they die before their time, like all good artists. Right?
Well, yeah, it's like the meth heads is like in a chrysalis state for 17 years, and then they all emerge. They can't eat, so they emerge, color, and then die after mating.
They go through a pupal state, and then they emerge as the
yeah, exactly. You can find it. The shell that they emerge out of looks like a filthy mattress propped up against the wall. That's the cocoon that a meth head comes out of.
Yeah. No, so it's the Emperor, not a meth head, who needs to go to their help. It turns out all the meth heads were busy coloring when the call came to go save Kaito and Tamio from the Phyrexian Jin-Gitaxias. So with Kyodai's help, the Wanderer is able to portal herself to the compound, sword in hand. So she seems to be able to control her planeswalking spark with Kyodai's help to an extent, but not like fully or completely. And it's like only local on Kamigawa. Like she's just able to teleport on Kamigawa.
Pretty handy still. That makes you a really good fucking samurai.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Kyodai's help and the reality chip stabilizing her spark. Like those two factors combined allow her to kind of teleport at will. And like to your point, Peter, she straight up teleports onto Jin-Gitaxias' head and cuts him in half.
Awesome.
This is a lot like the cyberpunk thing too with David. Like he's basically teleporting and stuff. But he's got the instead of the chip, he's got the juicers to keep him stable. Yeah,
Sandy. Yeah. He's got a jellyfish spine.
Yeah.
So she shows up. There's a cry of anguish from the Phyrexian, and he just collapses to the floor. She searches the compound quickly. She's just like mercilessly disposing of anybody who stands in her way. Like, God help you if you're a henchman. This is a woman on a mission.
A bunch of guys in like the Yakuza business suits, just like with the they're overacting in a martial arts film.
Exactly. I posted you guys a picture. It's not too much to describe. It's literally just her cutting a Phyrexian monster in half. It's just a really cool one. It's a lot of gold.
Oh, cuts him in half at the waist. When you said cut in half, I imagined down the center.
So that's
hot
dog
or
or
hamburger.
That's just a random old Phyrexian that she's got.
Oh, okay. Phyrexian Goon number 6. I was an extra in that movie. Okay.
Yeah, goon lovers. Phyrexian goon lovers. Excuse me.
The augur of goons, or
I don't know what the references are, but those sound funny to me.
just look up goon lover later. For listeners at home, don't or do. I'm not your boss.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Don't look it up at work. I'll say.
Okay.
It's just porn, guys.
Okay. I thought it was some old racist movie for some reason. I don't know why, but
sure. Yeah. Chariots
Maybe.
of Fire and Goon Lovers 6. So she finds her fellow planeswalkers. They're bound to tables, seemingly set up to be experimented on, just like the Kami had been.
Oh, okay. James Bond table with the cuffs on it, obviously.
Yeah, straight up.
Sweet.
She rouses Kaito, hands him a dagger. I have another excerpt from you guys, same author, but from the next story, Threads of War. The compound was a chaos of metal and blood, but the Wanderer didn't stop moving. She was a part of the dance, a figure in the ever-moving battle. Nearby, Kaito's sword clashed again and again, fighting the onslaught of Jin-Gitaxias' hired henchmen. Tamio hovered in the distance, scroll unbound, as she held Tezzeret in a temporary state of paralysis. Deep claw marks were streaked across the floor where Jin-Gitaxias' half-severed body lay, a sign that he tried and failed to stand back up. Now he was unmoving.
I thought they were immortal for some reason. The fact that he got killed or something is, I was like, oh, weird. But you can just straight up kill them.
They're not immortal in a classic sense, but like it's kind of like the Star Trek like teleporter. Like you could just rebuild them kind of the exact same way, and it's just like the new Jin-Gitaxias.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he assumes the role. It's kind of a title as much as anything else.
Okay.
And you just like kind of
castle. It's getting wet. They're like, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah, exactly. You program him to act the same way, and then you're like, yeah, it's the same thing, no problem.
Okay.
So together, Kaito and the Wanderer kill everyone in Temeshi's lab. Everyone, of course, except for Tezzeret. It's the classic movie trope of henchman lives. Who gives a fuck about them? But the actual monster who in charge of them, like giving all the orders, like, well, he should stand trial and be given a chance to plead his case, right?
I'm still reflecting on how Phyrexians die then. That's like a really lonely way to die because you'd never really see anyone else die because they always get like reprogrammed into whatever they are. So from your perspective, everything is immortal, but you would feel the end of your life coming or happening. And
I saw a Tumblr post recently where you're like, so that's the idea in Star Trek is that like you get like vaporized and then they just reconstruct you on a molecular level at the other end of the teleporter, right?
Right. Yeah.
And there was a great Tumblr post recently. It might have been posted in the memes channel on our Discord, honestly. But it's basically like, if they invent teleporter, I am totally going to be like the boomer grandma who refuses to go, and like my Zoomer grandchildren are going to be like, oh, come on, grandma, just like teleport over and come visit us. Or like, it's totally safe. We've been through it a million times. Like, no, absolutely not. I know that my consciousness will end as soon as I step into the teleporter and some facsimile of me will emerge at the other end. You guys have to take a flight to come see me.
Right. Yeah. That's it. And from
Absolutely.
the Phyrexians too, they think nobody ever dies because they never see anyone die. And then they go and get chopped in half by a nice lady.
They might understand that things die too, but it's also like if you were dying, like you'd probably know like nobody will mourn you. They're just gonna remake you, and like who cares, right?
Yeah, that was my question about Phyrexian like funeral rites. Is like, do they go to 0 funerals or do they go to a funeral every time? Like, are they big fans?
Zero. Goose egg, man. Big goose egg.
You don't think any of the Phyrexians have a nice greasy black suit or anything that they put on?
Yeah, no time for a funeral for the dead henchman nor the Phyrexian on the floor. They decide that they need more information from Tezzeret, and that the Wanderer and Kyodai would decide his fate together. A quote: "We leave for Aiganjo at once," the Wanderer ordered. Tamio gave a slight bow in acknowledgement. Kaito merely nodded. But Tezzeret watched them with a newfound energy. The veins in his neck strained against Tamio's story magic, gaze drifting down to where the reality chip was embedded on the back of the Wanderer's hand. He couldn't move his body, but his mind? Maybe his mind was all he needed. An icy shudder ran through the Wanderer. There was no time to say anything, no time to shout a warning before Tezzeret took control of the reality chip. The Wanderer screamed, hands shooting to her temples as the device pulsed with energy. The metal wires dug themselves deeper into her flesh, throbbing with power. There was a flash of white, and she felt her mind jump from the compound to the Imperial Palace, where Kyodai wailed in her chamber. It was as if their minds had been united, and the connection meant that Kyodai was in agony too. So Kaito at this point knocks Tezzeret unconscious, just like telekinesis is like a handful of industrial crates, just like dumps them on him straight up how he knocks him out, just like
I gotta say, from Tezzeret, this is the worst case of the planeswalking tickler yet. Like
he's really upping his game here, his serial killer game. So he gets like a bunch of boxes dumped on him, but it seems like whatever he did to the reality chip, the damage is done. It's no longer tethering the Wanderer to the plane. So she kind of knows right away that she might planeswalk at any moment. She's like, she clearly like struggles against it and tries to stop herself from doing it and seems to be able to suppress it sometimes, but inevitably like she's like, I know I'm going to teleport again.
I'm off the magic Wi-Fi. I'm on mobile data now. Who knows where it's coming from, where I'm going.
Guys, I started taking magic meth again now. I'm sorry, okay? I can't put the coloring book away. No, I don't
drawing
want to
for
right
days.
Now. Yeah. Hey, you gonna finish that hot water tank, or can I have it?
That's like $8 over at the scrapyard. I can just teleport it over like at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tezzeret unconscious, not dead. I want to stress that. They still not killing him.
They don't leave him safely buried under crates to come get him later, do they?
No, they don't.
Okay, thank God.
So they're like, okay, we know the castle's under attack. She gets a vision of Kyodai. She gets a vision of the uprisers attacking, and they know that they're going to attack Kyodai as well. So she's like, I got to get back. I got to protect Kyodai. So they're like, we have to try and get back to Eiganjo. Obviously, she can't do the neat little planar teleport trick that she did earlier because the reality chip is broken.
Right.
It does kind of make me want a game that is a combination of Portal and Dishonored, if I'm going to be real. Because that, like, Blink is kind of like that, but, like, imagine being able to do the same thing you can do in Portal, but then, like, you know, snap someone's neck as Corvo.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Dishonored 3, just add portals.
Yeah, they always add new powers, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cyberpunk DLC, so at least you can have the same whatever like ambiance of this lady.
That's true. Yeah.
True. Yeah. The same motif. The same mode if you listen to the bonus and no French. So they want to get to back to Eiganjo. Tamio takes the now detached reality chip. The Wanderer kind of just ripped it off her hand, attaches it to herself. She uses the spike in power it provides to use telekinesis on a security mech, which is just very large enough to carry all of them. And then just starts like telekinetic flying them all like through the clouds towards Eiganjo, essentially. With the Wanderer holding on to the still paralyzed Tezzeret. So Tezzeret's unconscious. He's still paralyzed by Tamio's spell as well.
Okay.
While Tamio is flying them on the back of this like giant piece of metal that she is like telekineticing through the skies.
Have you ever seen that helicopter that brings like the grandma skylifts her, but then it starts spinning like 100 revolutions a second?
Yeah.
Like so.
No, it's not.
And she's just
it's like
stuck up.
yeah,
there.
she survived. Yeah,
She
like collapsed like hiking in the mountains or something, so they had to airlift her out.
Okay.
And but like there's like a newscast or something as she's flying. It's like so fast that she's spinning. And the poor woman, like you must be thinking what's going on in her head right there. She's hurt. She's like 100 feet in the sky, just flying.
There's no blood in the middle of her body. It's all in her head and her toes.
Oh, it had to be. Yeah.
So they come up on Eiganjo. They see that the gates had already been breached, and they hear the metal on metal sound of battle reaching them. In that moment of distraction, they're all kind of like looking at the scene down below. Tezzeret wakes up. Tamio's spell, because she was also focusing on the telekinesis, wasn't doing a very good job of paralyzing him. So he strikes. He grabs all the smoke bombs. It was written all the smoke bombs on Kaito's belt. Detonates them all before leaping off of the
yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Like all the pins are connected with one string. Like
one big ripcord.
Yeah. Well, like you know, like the perforated cardboard around a package when you need to open the lid or something. Like just like on top.
So big smoky explosion on the back. They're all like choking and coughing. The trio
his own medicine. He's like, I can't believe I do this to people.
So the trio follows Tezzeret's example, jumps off the back of the mech as it's dragged down into the side of an Imperial apartment block. So it just like crashes into the side of this building, big explosion. In the wake of the crash, the Wanderer takes off for the leader of the uprisers, whom they saw scaling the castle towards Kyodai's chambers. Again, she knows that the leader is going after Kyodai. It seems to be like this. They suspect that she's like, well, you know, we got to kill the Emperor, and Kyodai is also kind of representative of the Emperor, so we're just going to take out both, and that's how we're going to secure our power.
Okay.
And so she takes off after her. That's kind of like the only thing she's thinking about is Kyodai's safety at this point. Kaito and Tamio find no trace of Tezzeret, though they figure he wouldn't leave the plane without the reality chip. So they're like, okay, he's not going to go anywhere until he secures the reality chip.
Do you need to cloak yourself in smoke bombs to leave reality? Like, as if there's like as if the way planeswalking works is you just summon like a stage trap door below you.
It's more impressive.
Like They're all magicians.
It's all mirrors. Yeah, mirrors.
Yeah.
Planeswalkers are just mirrors.
Yeah. The smoke gas is actually a war crime. It's bleach and ammonium in there, and it's awful.
Yeah. So they figure Tezzeret's not leaving without the reality chip, and they figure that Tezzeret probably still thinks that the Emperor has the reality chip. Because when he was last conscious, she did. Right. And then he kind of just woke up, threw all these smoke bombs, and hopped off the plane. Like, they figure, he probably didn't see that it was actually on Tamio's hand, right?
We have a classic mix-up on our hands.
Exactly. On Tamio's hand, yeah.
Yeah.
And previously, the Wanderer's hand.
Yeah.
So they start looking around for him. They spot the metal armed planeswalker. Where do you think they spotted him?
Within the castle?
Darting across the rooftops, baby. Talk about play. Kaito walked into your trap, Tezzeret. Guess whose trap you just walked into? Your boy here.
Yeah.
Knows how to get around a rooftop or two, as Jamie can attest.
Yep.
So they fly after him. Kaito takes his Tanuki drone companion, whom you guys will remember, off of his face. It turns into a mask. He takes it off his face. He throws it off the roof. He literally yells at Tamio, "No time to explain," and keeps running after Tezzeret. This is to build up some dramatic tension for us. Still unspotted. Kaito's like chasing after Tezzeret. He uses his telekinesis to just like pick up a stone lantern and just hurls it at him. Clocks him pretty good. But when it crashes into his shoulder, it spins him around, and he doesn't see Kaito first. Instead, he sees Tamio with the reality chip still attached to her hand, just like flying above them, basically. So it's like, damn, the one advantage you guys had that he thought the Emperor still had it. Like, that's done, huh?
This is such a without even knowing the fact we were joking about the Looney Tunes at the top. Like, this is a Looney Tunes ass fight where it's just like. It's like they don't know where the reality chip is. It might as well just be like a bar of soap that keeps like slipping between each other's hands. Just like, it's over there, and then it lands on like some woman carrying a basket on her head. It's like in there, and then they change direction. Like, it's a very goofy ass action scene.
Yeah, and I mean it's very the Kemi Don Bowman, who wrote all these that like wrote the Soul Story, clearly is a fan of like the visuals of the telekinetic like magic and like throwing shit at each other and all that. It's just like that's like all anybody is using in this fight, right? It's just like it's like there's lots of different kinds of magic you can use. You could summon things, you could use spells like firebolts, stuff like that. But it's like no, everyone's just throwing hucking stuff at each other. You know what I mean? It's like baseball pitchers are as powerful planeswalkers as these people. You know.
That's basically what X-Men Gambit is. He just amplifies kinetic energy.
Is
that what it does?
When he throws his cards, it's just like extra kinetic energy, which is the pink shit around it. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is literally just like throwing stuff.
Yeah, and when he uses his...
throw something heavier, idiot, and it'll be just as good. Like, why you throw a fucking card?
He uses his staff, and he just adds more energy to it, too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, I knew he threw cards at people, but, like, I haven't seen the cartoon, but I knew it always had, like, pink fire on it. I thought that was his mutant magic.
No, Gambit was my favorite X-Men growing up in the video games that I played, and I would always... Yeah, no, that's fun.
Yeah, and that X-Men like beat 'em up there, like the side-scrolling beat 'em up there.
Yeah, I played that with my little brother.
Sick as hell.
Yep.
So Tezzeret sees Tamio with the reality chip, blinds her with some pocket sand so she can't read her scrolls. Like he literally like
he needs like goggles.
Yeah, right. Just like a pair of goggles. Because he grabbed something and like opened it up and it was full of sand and he literally like throws it in her face and that's how he like blinds her. Kaito is closing the gap, though. It is still 2v1. Tezzeret having an affinity for metal and technology. Kaito like sheds all his gear as he runs, like all his high-tech futuristic gear, and closes with Tezzeret with his bare fists.
Mano, dude, let's go.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of Tezzeret's bare fists is a giant metal arm powered by magic and capable of reshaping itself. So,
Fight me! Come on, man, meat to meat. And he's like, no. And then throws hand in his eyes.
Yeah. His hand, like, just he punches, but then, like, fingers rearrange and it's a gun. Bam!
I can imagine it, like, reshapes into a container that just had more sand in it.
That too, yeah.
It's a container full of sand with a little flag that pokes out that says "bang."
Yeah.
And then he slaps him with the bang flag.
Yeah.
So things in the fight aren't exactly going in Kaito's favor. He's holding his own for sure. There's some great lines about like, well, he's doing this, he's fighting for a reason, and and this is retribution, all that. But he's still losing, and Tezzeret ends up like grabbing him and like kind of taunting him before he's like about to deliver the final blow rather than just delivering the final blow.
That's a classic villain thing, huh?
There's a lot of classic villain and classic hero tropes in this for sure.
Yeah.
Picks him up by the scruff, and then out of the wrist of the metal arm comes two smaller fists that just start punching with it. Now he's just like Inspector Gadget, I guess.
Go Gadget Planeswalk.
Yeah, I like that. Inspector Gadget as a planeswalker. Okay. I feel like that's a new vein. Yeah.
So things aren't going in his favor. Kaito's about to be dealt the killing blow, I guess you could say, when throwing knife embeds itself in Tezzeret's leg. Kaito's sister Aiko, standing below in the courtyard, summoned by the Tanuki drone Hamoto. Remember when he said no time to explain? He was sending word to his sister to come help out. So
when you see me losing, don't kill the guy by throwing a knife he could never have seen into the back of his head. Just into the thigh, please.
Just the thigh, please. Yeah, we want him to stand trial. You understand?
Yeah.
We're not savages, please. The henchmen.
Yeah. Well, maybe not stand trial with one knife in the back of his leg. At least hop trial.
Yeah.
That sounds like slang for like it's like kangaroo court is a hop trial.
Yeah. I almost got to the same but significantly worse joke where I was like, yeah, it's like a rabbit court or something, but kangaroo court is an actual so I'm glad.
It's like a hair trial.
Yeah.
I like that.
And Tezzeret got a real hair trigger, right? So
yeah.
literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
So yeah, with Aiko's help, Tamio gets to the emergency eye wash station on the roof and manages to start helping out as well. They manage to defeat. They managed to defeat Tezzeret, and this time finally make the very sane and rational choice not to kill him, but to try and imprison him. So another quote for you guys. He turned, getting ready to clamber down the nearest trellis, when Tezzeret's cold voice snapped like the crackle of a last ember. There's no need to keep me in Iganjo, he drilled silkily. I already have what Phyrexia wants. Kaito turned, brow furrowed, and watched in horror as Tamio's hand flashed and the reality chip came to life. Tamio wasn't prepared for the hold Tezzeret would have over her or how it would sever her connection to her story magic. She reeled, face ashen, and clutched her hand to her chest. Kaito barely had time to process her distress before Tezzeret lunged, grabbing Tamio's trembling body by her shoulders. Snarling, Tezzeret lashed at the air with his metal arm, and a violent, jagged line split through the sky. The crack of electricity pierced Kaito's ears as he watched the portal grow to Tezzeret's full height. Tezzeret yanked Tamio through the snapping light, and they both vanished from the rooftop. Kaito took a step forward, blinking like he was trying to will everything back to how it was, but it was no use. The portal gave a metallic hiss and snapped shut. Tamio and Tezzeret were gone. So, I mean, they really should have thrown that dagger to the back of Tezzeret's head. That's really the only, like, the pure hubris of thinking, like, the third time, we'll get him. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, guys. Just kill him, please. He's a monster. He's objectively a monster here.
Yeah.
So Tamio had been taken. Kaito had no idea where. Elsewhere, the battle against the Uprisers was being won by the Imperials. So kind of glossing over this part of the story because it's not that interesting.
Tezzeret is a planeswalker, but he can control it, so he could take her fucking anywhere, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, like Kaito's a planeswalker and Tamio's a planeswalker as well, but like you don't know where. There's no trace of like where somebody went, like left behind this. So in the wake of the Emperor's disappearance, Kaito rejoins the Emperor only to find her bent at the waist, her spark destabilizing further and pulling her from Kamigawa. They have kind of this heartfelt moment together when she fizzes and pops and vanishes as well. So reality chip was no longer holding her, and she couldn't stay on Kamigawa any longer. She abdicates the throne to Lightpaws until she can find a way to return, she says.
Right, that was like the fox, the 9-tailed or 8-tailed fox magician, right?
Yeah, Lightpaws was 7 tails. So the first Kamigawa arc, there was 9.5 tails.
Right.
And this one, she had 7 tails, and she gains her 8th tail when she becomes the de facto emperor.
Okay.
So in the wake of the emperor's second disappearance, there's plenty of housekeeping to do on the plane. They find no trace of Jin-Gitaxias' body, nor did they have any idea where the emperor nor Tamio were. They figure Tezzeret probably went back for Jin-Gitaxias' body. Kaito would set out in search of the emperor wherever she may be in the multiverse once more, but not before he found Tamio and brought her to her home. So I have a last quote just to end us off here, and this is from the epilogue of Threads of War. Arise, first of the Phyrexian planeswalkers. You will not be the last. Tamio's eyes fluttered at the sound of Jin-Gitaxias' voice. She sat up, processing the shapes around her. It wasn't the first time she'd been awake in the laboratory, but it was the first time it felt familiar. Frowning, Tamio reached for her satchel and pulled out her story scrolls. She stared at the parchment, watching as the words flashed with a metallic sheen and morphed into another language entirely. She read the Phyrexian text as if she'd been doing it all her life and felt a strange contentment wash over her. Phyrexia was her new home. She was a part of it. Mind, body, and soul. So that's the first Phyrexian planeswalker and the story of the first Phyrexian planeswalker. That's the spooky bit at the end of the
Very cool.
She does look very cool now. She is in rough fucking shape. Like, but you can see through her body, sort of.
Yeah.
Where there's like jagged cuts in the side where you can kind of see her spine and some of her organs. And not to mention, like a lot of the Phyrexians has like the very kind of syringe-like metal needles poking out of her.
Yeah, and kind of like floating, seems like lost in space. This artwork is from the card Tamio's Compilation. The art's by Dominic Meyer, if anybody at home wants to look it up. But that's the story of the first Phyrexian planeswalker. Oh, I'll give you guys a little spoiler. It's not going to be the last Phyrexian planeswalker.
After they called it the First World War in 1919, I realized we never thought about it.
So this is this is kind of leading into this is pretty recent in Magic story arc anyway. So I hope to get some more Phyrexians and more into them, because I do find it pretty cool, and I'd love to get like up to date on this. I guess I know we've kind of left Nicol Bolas's story just kind of sitting on the side of the road, but there's so much story to get through, so we'll get to it all someday for sure.
I like the Phyrexians a lot. I don't know why. Sometimes I always kind of think of them as like kind of Lovecraftian, which is a theme I find very boring these days because it's a pretty easy one to write in. But I like the fact that the Phyrexians, like, unlike a Lovecraftian horror, have motivation and like personalities and like are doing things for a reason. Yeah, I think it makes them very good and interesting villains. I like them a lot. And I love the artwork. It's always fun to practice with when I try and replicate it, right?
Yeah, for sure. They're doing stuff for a reason, but like the reason is still kind of that like Lovecraftian, just like we want to consume. Like we just think everything should be like us, like destruction for destruction's sake sort of thing. Kind of hard to understand from anyone else's point of view.
I guess. I don't know. They all seem to have, at least the ones that we've talked about.
It's just like, no, I get it. I get why
they're just like they have, exactly. It's like, science at any cost. I get it.
Yeah.
They all kind of have personalities too. Like they talk to people. They're in the room, and it's just like, Jin-Gitaxias is so crazy looking, you couldn't understand it.
Yeah,
it isn't like the end of it. He's got like an actual design and a personality.
Yeah, exactly. And like, there's a hierarchy. There's definitely like some social like something there, like more so than I guess like the old ones from Lovecraft. If you guys wanted to see the artwork, I gave you the name of it, or you guys can subscribe to our Patreon, and I'll be posting the script for this with all the images and credit for the authors attached, so you guys can see what we saw. And where you can do that is patreon.com/loreboys if you guys are interested in joining the patrons, getting a shout out, getting the loser titles, getting the artwork, the scripts, the bonus content where Pete talks about Scorn and his love for H.R. Geiger, and some upcoming stuff in Pete's comic world. Did we talk about that on this episode, or was that the bonus content?
No, we talked about that on the bonus. Yeah. So by the time you're hearing this, the very quick little demo of my comic should be available. There should be a black and white 5 pages of the inciting incident available linked below. I'll remember to add the link once it's available to me. But yeah, we've been talking about it for a long time, and if anybody wants to see like a real early access taste, is just like I wanted to start getting stuff in front of people. That is available now if you follow the link to Squared Idea. I don't know what the rest of the URL is going to look like because I'm getting it tomorrow, but barring some horrible emergency on their side, It's ready to go. I'm very excited. So, let me know what you think. I hope you like it. I hope. I don't know what people have been imagining all this time, so you'll definitely be disappointed. But whatever.
I've been imagining the fish in actor Troy McClure's fish tank, so I hope it's similar to that.
Yeah,
It is.
The ones that he had sexual relations.
Of course.
Yeah. What's your comic? It's the story of a shrimp and a cow becoming best friends, and they call it Surf and Turf or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Squaredidea.com/surf and turf. You can read 5 pages of it there.
Okay.
But yeah,
Fox
and
and
then
the Hound.
yeah, except they're not like star-crossed lovers or star-crossed friends. They love to cooperate. They're detectives, actually.
Okay.
Surf and turf solve crimes.
STPI. Surf and Turf Private Investigator.
Yeah, of course. That's at the end. It's obviously they don't like each other at first.
Oh, right.
They make the private eye agency afterwards.
Right. I mean, yeah, they're apples and oranges, man. Shrimps and cows.
They can't
They're
get
never
along.
gonna get
My
along.
next one.
What about you, Jamie? Is there anything you wanted to plug for our dear listeners?
Just get in the Discord. Discord's where I hang out with most folks. Some days more chatty than others, but almost always on the Discord. Like in every day, I'm doing at least something on the Discord. So if you want to get to know us, that's the best place. Or to engage with the community. We got a lot of cool folks. Sometimes to just hang out and play games together too. And you can be a part of that. Yeah. Or you can just lurk and see what we talk about.
Yeah, or just lurk. You can see we'll post stuff randomly occasionally. If you're a patron, I mean, there's some bonus stuff that we post there for you that ends up on... it's all the stuff that ends up on Patreon. We just announced it on Discord as well. It's really the only social media that we really use anymore, except for maybe Instagram, where Pete posts some art updates every now and then and pictures of...
I post links to the episodes on Facebook. I don't know who uses it, but if that's where you get your lore boys, you can still get it.
And on whatever's happening on Twitter, that's not all the lore boys liking things. Like there's a meme about jerking off at work that we liked, and I'm like, I wouldn't have liked that.
I do check out.
The Lore Boys Twitter is very much Peter's Twitter at this point.
I just like shit posts. I don't remember that meme, but it sounds funny.
Just if anyone I work with is listening to, I wasn't liking the meme about jerking off at work.
Yeah, I mean,
if you guys want to help the show out, best way to do so is to spread the good word. Post some shit posts for Peter to like. And just really tell your friends about the Lore Boys. Leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. Helps a lot. Listen on Spotify. Share on Spotify if you're not listening on Apple Podcasts. Really, really, really helps the show grow. It's the best way for us to gain new listeners and get a little bit bigger. And if you guys want to support the show financially, I mentioned it before, patreon.com/theloreboys, where there's all sorts of good content. The bonus episode, bonus content where Pete talks about Scorn comes out tomorrow. So tune into that if you guys are interested. And if you guys, want to support the show financially and don't believe in big Patreon, then we have always had Lore Boys Prime, of course, where we are working on a giant metal coyote mecha these days. It is going to be Pacific Rim-esque, I guess, where it's going to be, multiple drivers driving a single mecha suit.
Right, yeah.
And
we
by
have
multiple
Rift to control Wile E. Coyote, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I say multiple. It's going to be much more than 2. We're going to need individual people for each of the fingers. We're going to need probably 30 people for just a forearm. We're just going to kind of strap you guys all in together, and by the combined force of your abdomens crunching, we'll be able to give somebody the finger essentially.
Cool.
But we do need some volunteers to just encase themselves in metal, probably permanently. We haven't figured out a good way to get people out yet, honestly. And we need volunteers now because we already have some volunteers in, and they're kind of expiring. So we need some people to really step up. We need you listeners to really step up. Come join our metal machine, metal and meat, metal meets meat. Am I right? And gets all the loving for each other. And we can finally catch that fucking Roadrunner. Honestly.
All right, I'm ready
crazy.
for that.
Beep. Huh?
Or Metal in Me, where we have a really sad movie at the end where the robot dies.
Yeah.
That one.
And the robot's gonna die at the end. The whole movie, it's gonna die. But all the sweet moments are just made that much that bitter because the robot died.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that would constitute a Lore Boys.
Lore Boys.
Meep meep.
That was good.
Yeah, that was really good. So, what happened? Oh, okay. I had a good Halloween story. I don't know if this is offensive or not, but
Okay.
the guy.
Oh, okay.
we Peter and I, two white male podcasters will be the judges of that, Jamie. Okay.
Okay, so I go to the cafe that I often go to.